beating on me. That's the first thing I want, control her, get the handcuffs on. Then I got, safer for everybody. She's on my back trying to wrestle me in forward. Don't take my husband to jail! Meanwhile, she got a cut, all kinds of stuff. Often what the responding officer does determines what happens in court. Can involve minor squabbles, trespassing, battery, assault, kidnapping, stalking, murder, spousal rape, etc. We had a lady in town in Barnesville. She had been, I bet you, and it was before I got there, before I arrived in 1990. When did I start? 91, 92, 93? Anyway, this lady had had probably 8 to 10 domestic violence calls. Her husband was huge. He was an asshole. He really was. He abused her. He abused the kids physically and emotionally. I don't know about, well, he did, yeah. We had arrested him several times. He kept going back to the house. I mean, the courts did their thing. He eventually would end up back home. He used a ball bat and stuck it up inside of her. After he did that, she found a gun and blew him away. She was arrested for murder. Our chief of police testified in court to the previous incidents, and she was found not guilty by the jury. Self-defense. Right? So these things can end up in big ordeals. You might have been there 3, 4 times before, and it's just the domestic violence that go to court, never hear anymore. And then the next week you're there, and it's a crime scene, a murder scene, cameras, TV crews there, and you're like, holy shit. Especially when you've been there 5 times yourself, or your agency has. Right? And it's not always our fault. Police might have done everything right. Maybe the courts didn't do what they should have done. Or maybe the courts and the cops did everything right, and this person is just hell-bent on killing somebody. It's not, we can't always prevent everything. But it does make you feel weird when you've been there 5 times, and now tonight we're here and somebody's dead, and I'm taking pictures of them, and collecting evidence, and going to the morgue, and talking to their family members. Because they'll ask you, Rep, you were there 5 times before, why didn't you prevent this? You're a cop. Right? You'll get that. Officers should not park patrol car in view because it might incite further arguing or harm to the victim. I don't know about that. If you can, I would say, to this slide, here's my thing. You don't want to roll up on a domestic lights and sirens into a neighborhood. Parkersburg PD ends up on Park Street, lights, siren, 3 cars pull up. You leave your lights on and running there. The whole neighborhood knows. You just make the whole incident much more worse for that family. All right? Use some decorum if you can. But I don't know about parking your patrol car out of view and all that. But use some decorum. Don't leave your lights running. I've seen this by cops, especially young rookies. They'll pull up in their driveways, they sit there for 2 hours with the lights. They're inside with domestic, their lights are on. No. The whole neighborhood's like, what's going on, Ethel? I don't know, he's been in here an awful long time. Think they're doing drugs? So the whole neighborhood's talking about it. Think you still gotta live there, that family's gotta live there, and that just makes things that much worse for them. So if you can kind of keep that down, think about it if you had a call, you're a cop, but somebody falsely called and said there's domestic violence going on at your house. Since you're a cop, they are going to come like full strength because they're like, oh shit, Joe's got a gun. Joe could be drinking tonight, right? But you wouldn't want all the cops showing up at your house, lights, sirens, and all outside your door. It'd be pretty embarrassing. That's what I get out of this slide more than it might incite further arguing or harm. Officers should reduce the level of tension by separating and talking to the participant. We always do this with witnesses, but it's much more so now because it's family. And separating them don't mean go over down here, and I kind of hear what you're saying, because then people get really screwed up. I'm up here and I'm interviewing her. She's the victim. Her husband's sitting right there. I think I separated. He can hear every third word what she says. He misunderstands and thinks she's saying, see what I'm saying? You want to make sure it's like soundproof. Either you put her in one car, he's in the house, she's in the car, whatever. But just separating by 15 feet and think you're doing a great job when the other one's sitting there stringing their ear off and probably only heard every third word. So now they really got it screwed up, right? Because these two are emotionally, they don't give a shit what I do. They don't give a shit what the other one says, right? I'm a nobody in their relationship. I'm just a cop. But they care a lot about what the other one says about the other one. To me, the cop. Does that make sense? 20 states now mandate police to make an arrest if there is a protective or restraining order against the attacker. Several states make it mandatory to make an arrest if there is probable cause. Like I said, or the slide, well, one of the slides before, 1970s, 90% of the time, you got a place you can go here in town. Get in the car. Don't come back till 8 in the morning. If you do, I'm going to arrest you. That's how it always went. There was no intervention. The courts didn't know about it or anything. So he didn't go to court, didn't get a record, didn't get the chance for the judge to order him into counseling or anything. So what he probably did is it went underground a little bit more and it kept happening, but I never got a call again about it. Right? Arrest should not be based on the willingness of the victim to testify. What do we base arrests on, officers? Come on, officers, I'm always talking about it. I tell you, you're a recorder of this. What's before probable cause? Reasonable suspicion. I am always, when I put my uniform on, when I was a cop, even when I didn't have my uniform on, but when you are a cop, you put that uniform on, you are an instant recorder, and you are always looking for a reasonable suspicion, probable cause. It's my job. Right? And I have to know how to articulate that and write that down, so that my report, when it goes to court, that I can prove my reasonable suspicion, probable cause. Same thing here. Don't base it on the victim's willingness to testify. Some of them are overeager to testify, put in jail. Just like my incident, I told you that it was a free weekend for her. She had a boyfriend. That was her husband. She got arrested. She had a boyfriend. She was very willing to testify. She came out the door and wanted to sign the darn TPO before said anything. She'd done it 3 times before. Right? But I based my arrests always, all my arrests were always based off reasonable suspicion that led to probable cause that you're now under arrest. And even then, when I had probable cause, sometimes I didn't make an arrest, depending on what it was they did. And maybe I wanted something out of them. I wanted them to snitch later. Who cares if they sped through town? But I know this person later might be able to help me with robberies. Because they're in that kind of group of people. But now I got them. You know what I mean? I got something on them. So now I come back to him later. He's doing all the robbing in town. I wouldn't tell anybody but you, Rhett, since you let me off. You always treated me good, Jake. Weird. Thanks. The victim need not sign a complaint. I made him sign the TPO. But I watched through the window. Did I need him to sign the TPO? If he would have refused, I would have. The only reason I did that is she had signed so many times before I wanted him to have that feeling of signing that TPO. Right? I could have signed it. That's the part I've left out of the story. I was waiting for this. But I could have signed it because I seen it. I just wanted him to sign it though. Kind of for her too, because she's going to know he signed it, this wasn't me. And that kind of gave him some balance of power. Here, he was the victim 3 times, went to jail, spent 3 weekends in jail, and I guarantee, I'm right on this, I wasn't there the other 3 times, you can be like, you don't know that for sure, but I guarantee what I saw through the window, and the meek, mild guy I seen him being, you know, guys are either meek, mild, or we're raging assholes, but we're usually not it, you know. This guy was meek and mild, he had ashways, but he never once lifted his voice or anything. He wasn't the type of guy. I just knew it. I can guarantee you he wasn't the perpetrator of that domestic violence 3 times before. But the officers that went there didn't look through the window, went with her word. She was eager to testify. She was a female, right? She's short, heavy set. He was tall and skinny, but still he's a male. And all us males can overpower every female. I'm just saying. But that's the way that officer was probably thinking, the other officers. And they didn't have all the information. Am I downgrading their, no. They might not, blinds might have been closed. They might never even see in, right? But I could assign that complaint. So the victim doesn't have to. You can do that. Mutual assault involves both parties assaulting the other, and the officer needs to determine who the aggressor was and arrest that person. Don't I? Where I'm from, you don't have to. You can arrest both of them. Let the court figure it out. All right? Go with what your policy is with your department on domestic violence, but sometimes it's hard at 2 a.m. in the morning to both drunk to figure out who the aggressor was. You'll be like, well, that's easy. It's always the guy. No, it's not always that easy. A lot of times it is. But you got to watch for when it's maybe the female. And remember, we're talking male, female. It could be 2 brothers at a house, or grandpa versus grandson, or granddaughter. Could be that's domestic violence. Evidence can include photographs of injuries, statements, prior police reports, doctor reports, weapons, damaged clothes. Many victims request charges to be dropped or refuse to testify. Many states are adopting the policy of no drop. We used to have that all the time. They'd sign the TPO, they're supposed to go over Monday morning and be in court with their, and they wouldn't go, so the charges were dismissed. Judges got tired of that. Right? We have somebody arrested, they've been incarcerated for 72 hours, and the other party doesn't show up. You know what happens when cops do that? We get fired. When I don't show up to court, I arrest somebody, and I don't go to court, and I sign the charges. That's your job. That's like numero uno. Right? But when those TPOs and stuff come out, she signed a TPO, right? But if she didn't go to court Monday, they're going to let the guy out. This was Friday night. Always happens on Friday or Saturday. So that's why they come up with that, because judges were tired of putting up with ladies getting beat up or whatever, and then by the Monday morning nobody wanted to file any charges. So now they made it, in some states they made it no drop. You can't drop it. Or you can be in trouble. They'll come back and charge you with false report, which they just threaten that. They usually never follow through with that, but protection orders or restraining orders are intended to prevent the offenders from further harassing, threatening, or contacting victims. Temporary or permanent violation of these orders are criminal, can be issued on the same day. And they usually spell out how far, all kinds of different things, from child pickup and all that kind of stuff. It'll spell all that out. Research and experience show that arresting both parties is ineffective towards interrupting the pattern of violence. It is ineffective if that's all you ever do. If I go to every domestic violence and I just arrest both parties, that is ineffective. I should go and arrest the person that is the aggressor. Right? Ideally. And a lot of times that's the guy. Biologically, we are aggressive. That's our DNA. Sometimes, very few, it's the female. But whoever the aggressor is should go to jail. If I can't determine that, and they're both aggressive, and you can tell that they're both antagonizing, take both of them to jail. Let the court figure it out. And if they come back twice like that, the judge is really going to go, you two need to get the hell away from each other, right? I realize it says here that arresting both parties is ineffective. If we go to all calls and we arrest both parties, I'm telling you though, if you can't determine it and you're in doubt, go ahead and arrest them both. That's my experience talking there. I don't care what book said. Don't go there with that attitude. Go there, I'm going to arrest the aggressor. If you get there and you think, both of them are. Both of them are. There's not one that's dominating the other and being a bully and all that. They are both at it. Let them both go. That's my personal view compared to both. Usually in pattern of violence, there is one primary aggressor, and that's true. Usually. I think I've only arrested both parties twice out of like probably 50 or so domestic violence arrests I ever made. I think I only arrested both parties twice. Right? Highly effective for those two. One of them I just, but it was effective. But it's got to be in the right circumstance. You'll know it when you see it. Because most of them, it's going to be the male. It's going to be one party you take. 95% of the time, you're going to take the male. 5% you're going to be like, it's the female. Wow, this is strange. I've been to like 15 of these. This is the 16th one I've been on. This is my first female. She needs to go to jail. Don't be afraid. She needs to go to jail. It's not about male or female. It's about who the aggressor is. So you'll run across that. And sometimes you're going to run across very few, even less. It's going to be both. And if you really do think it's both, then take both. But don't start off with that opinion. Stalking entails repeat victimization of a person. Series of acts and is partly defined by its impact on the victim, fear, uncertainty, disruptive life. I had a school teacher I hated. I'm not going to say any names here. He was ignorant to a little, he was in fifth grade. He was ignorant to a girl in class till she cried. Happened to be my girlfriend at the time, puppy love, you know. But she ran out of the classroom crying. I got up and I walked out of the class, and he made fun of her as she was running out, you know, calling her names, make fun of her. And so I just stood up and walked out of the classroom, right? It's a science class. And he was like, where are you going, Ray? What do you think you're doing? You're going to get suspended. I'll paddle your ass and all this. You know, this is like 1970s, late 70s, early 80s. So they still paddled us back then, which wasn't a bad thing. Anyway, walked to the bathroom. She was in the bathroom crying. And I said, you know, Kristen, when you're done crying, you come out here and we're going to the principal's office. So we went to the principal's office and that started a whole different thing, right? That was like 5th, 6th grade. Boom, boom, boom. Then I had him freshman year of high school. And I was like, oh, shit. Because I had the same teacher that I walked out. I never got put back in his class. We were removed from his class. I went from the smart books, because back then, your books determined if you're smart or not. If you got a really colorful, wild print on your math and science book, you were smart. If you got the really dull and bland, looking color, you were the dumb class. Right? That's how they gauged it. There's 4 different textbooks. Really smart, somewhat smart, not so smart, not smart at all. Right? It was by textbook. And we all knew by color. Woo! You got the real nice colored one with the great graphic design, you're in the smart class. You got the one with the poopy looking colors, browns and shades of that, and it was like really like not very cool picture, you were in the dummy class. Anyway, had him freshman, he never even talked to me. We had in class, he'd just say my name for attendance, that's it. Never look at me, never talk to me, because I was removed from his class. And he harassed a whole bunch of kids. And me and her was the only 2 students ever removed from his class. Of course, we got put in the lower science class, so we got all straight A's, kind of explained science to all the other kids, which was like, how can you be this dumb? Anyway, boom. So went from 5th grade to 8th grade, and then I'm 20 years old, I'm a cop, he's divorced, right? And his wife's calling the station, and they've been divorced for 2 years, and he's breaking in the basement door, going upstairs to her bedroom, used to be their bedroom, right? And he gets in the panty drawer, pulls her panty out, and puts his picture on top of her panties and leaves. That's everything he touches. She calls freaking out. They've been a year after they've been divorced, right? And he has broke into the house, and he was doing it to scare the shit out of her. He only took one, and the whole house, she searched the whole house. The only thing was her panties, pulled out her panty drawer, laid up there with his picture sitting on top of his panties. Now he did that 2 or 3 things like that. Real small, but real, he was making a point, right? Her panties and his picture. He did a couple other things, I forget what they were small, he broke into 2 other times. We tried to catch him. Oh, I would have loved to catch him. Oh, I wanted to so bad catch him in that house. Be like, remember when you made that little girl cry and thought you was a big guy? I knew then that you weren't worth a mountain of Any guy makes a little girl cry and feels big. There's something wrong with him. But anyway, yeah, years later I dealt with him, and he was playing games like that. That's domestic right there. That's a domestic situation. He created fear, uncertainty, and disrupted her life. She was afraid in her own house, which he had been part of up until 2 years ago. They'd been divorced. She was afraid in her own home. She got an alarm system. I think she ended up buying a couple German Shepherds too. Right? Women are more likely to be stalked. It's widespread, over 1 million incidents a year. Most victims know they're stalkers, often tandems of domestic violence. I will agree with that, and often it does lead to domestic violence, but I'll tell you, I've had stalkers since I started my professional career as a police officer, honestly. Ladies, guys, and everything in between. Yep. You want to know why? Because I treat everybody nicely. Everybody. And it attracts them, the lonely hearts, the misfits. Nobody's ever talked to me like that. I've had it happen here at the college. People that are not male gender or female gender are attracted to me right away because they've heard me, my lectures and stuff. Can I ask you some advice? And I treat them just the same. They're like, you're really nice, you don't look at me like that. And what they mean is how everybody else looks at them, like freak, and avoids them like the plague. Don't want to be seen talking to them. They pick up on that real quick. But anyway, most victims do know they're stalkers. I shouldn't have made it sound like that. Most of my stalkers have been female. I have had a couple male stalkers, and I really haven't had any transgender stalkers. I just meant that people find me comfortable to talk to. It's always been that way. I used to go to bars when I was 20 years old in Wheeling with my friends because I was a cop, right? So I'd have to go to Wheeling, so I didn't want anybody run into anybody arrested, right? There always be attached badge there, so Wheeling PD, if you got in trouble, he's like, hopefully they'll take care of you by whisking your butt out of there. But anyway, I've had stalkers, and I've investigated stalkers, and it's really weird. It's kind of a weird situation. But they have an emotional connection with the person they're stalking. Whether that person has emotional connection, that is the question, which there is none. I had a librarian when I was a probation officer at one of the high schools, stalked me, had a file this thick on her. She sent me letters, like 3-4 pages worth of handwritten letters. She would make me little cardboard things, you know. Oh yeah. At first, everybody at the courthouse laughed until the judge said one day, Brett, I just talked to the principal the other day, and she went to this house near Columbus where this other teacher that used to work for St. Clairsville, he was married, who ended up getting divorced because she was stalking him. Then he was in an accident, she found out about it, went to his house where he was recuperating, and he's in bed at his parents' house recuperating, and he lost his wife and stuff, so this guy's in bad shape, right? Teacher at the school, had to move because of her. His wife ended up divorcing him. He was in a bad accident. I'd say he'd probably been drinking because all this is going on in his life because of a stalker, right? Gets in a wreck, is at home recuperating, and is like, she went there. They had to have the police come and remove her because she wouldn't leave. She went to the door and said, hey, I'm so-and-so from his work. And they didn't know any better. He had never talked about her really to his parents because he was trying to, hide all the crap that was going on in his life because he didn't want people to be like, you started this with her, you must have had an affair with her and then rejected her, and that's why she's stalking you. So there was all those things. But she actually went to the house, they had to have her removed. And she was stalking me. That's when the judge was like, I didn't know all this. Do you want me to file, want me to do a restraining order? I'm like, no. Right? But I had a file this thick on her. Sent me peanuts through the mail. I get boxes at the court, this box, and I'd open it up and be from her. Sent me a blanket. Yeah. I've had stalkers. I don't know why. I'm not that good looking. It's got to be this great personality I have, right? But I've had stalkers all since I started my professional career. And I guess I was telling you earlier, when I go to bars when I was young, like 20, in college, my friend would go with me, my best friend, Adam Carpenter, he would go with me and he'd get so mad. Because I'd always be designated driver, I didn't like to drink. So we drive down to Wheeling, and as soon as I go in the bar, I'd usually go buy 2 beers, and I'd give him one, and I'd maybe drink 1 beer, look social, and I'd hold that whole beer all night. It was, if I drank 2 beers, it was amazing. And I mean, talk about getting to the bar at like 10 o'clock at night, leaving at 2 beers, right? I was just look social. But whenever I sit down, people will come up to me, girls, guys, it don't matter. Whoever's in there and has a broken heart, they would come step by me and tell me their whole life story, you don't understand. And I'd sit there and listen to it, and Adam would say, why don't you just go become a damn psychologist or whatever? You don't need to be a cop. Yeah? He was always on me. It's like, everybody tells you their shit. Why are you deaf? Who stalks whom? Believe that stalking is underreported. I will agree with that. There's a lot of reasons you don't report stalking. I was kind of embarrassed about that. I have stalkers here at the college. Just about every year I get a new one. Right? They wear off and I get a new one. So it goes underreported. If I reported all my stalkers here at the college, my first year I had 2. That was 5 years ago. And it's funny because my colleagues close to me, Andrew and them, they know. They know which ones are my stalkers. Only a small percentage of victims are physically attracted, but it is the psychological and social consequences that cause damage. And it is. Social consequences. One big reason I don't let students have into my Facebook account unless you graduated. Stalkers. Stalkers love Facebook. That's how stalkers like keep up with what you're doing. You're like, how the hell do they know all this shit? They are watching you like crazy on Facebook. Right? So I don't put a lot on Facebook, but I do know enough that my stalkers love Facebook. Love Facebook. Lost time from work. I never had that problem. I mean, I was a probation officer, I had a gun. I wasn't afraid of the teacher. I was kind of when I see her in the hall. Find somebody else to talk to, but I wasn't really afraid of her, right? But a lot of females are, and for good reason, because a lot of stalkers can become aggressive if they're caught or if they're trapped in a place with the person that they're stalking. It can become aggressive real quick. And a lot of ladies lose time from work from this, more so than men. Intimate or former intimate stalking. The teacher and his ex-wife. The example I just gave, him breaking into the house and opening her panty drawer and putting her panties in his picture, right? That was intimate or former intimate stalking. There's married, they had kids together, right? Acquaintance stalking. That would be more like the stalking that I get. As a professional, as a police officer, probation officer, they fell in love with the position. Same way here at the college. I'm a professor, so it's not so much me it's me plus the position and power that comes with this position I hold. I think I'm so powerful, but it is. It's a, you know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to. You know what I'm saying? So they're in love with that persona of me, not really Rhett, the real Rhett that, peed his pants when he was 4. And, I mean, they don't know that real me. All they know is the persona of Rhett the professor, right? So they're in love with that. So that's acquaintance stalking. Stranger stalking, don't even know them. These ones are a little bit scary because they're picking out a certain characteristic about the person they're stalking. It's either that it's a blonde female and she's tall, or it is a banker, or it's a particular thing about, because they don't even know the person. So they're judging them either on their physical appearance, and it's something that stalker's attracted to, or it's your position that you hold in society, which is work or whatever. Like I'm a professor, or maybe a police officer, or maybe blah blah blah, supermodel. It's around that position. or that physical attribute that you possess. Cyber stalking, this is the new one. This is what's really took hold in the last 10 years. It's newer, it's difficult to prosecute and to gain evidence, and it crosses jurisdictions, right?